Hello, good evening. Oh, so sorry, I'm really flashing my PowerPoint. Good evening, everyone. No, sorry, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so today I don't expect many to be joining because probably this topic is not relevant to most of you yet. Probably the ones who are here are the Form 5 students, yeah? Because I'm just fulfilling a promise to some of the students who have asked for me to share my lessons for chapter 12. So I am like continuing and also finishing. Today I'm finishing the chapter 12. So after this, I will be taking a break for probably 2 weeks. And then maybe I'll come back again with chapter 2 or chapter 3 of the Form 5 syllabus. Okay, so I'm going to get right down to it. I'm going to share screen. All right, so today we're going to do this endocrine system, which is a little bit more complicated because there are many names of hormones that you need to remember, and you also need to know the function. Okay, because many of these, why do you need to learn this? Because biology, you have to learn a lot about our body systems and all that. Okay, that you need to know how it functions. So hormone, or we call it endocrine system, which produces hormone, is a very important component, okay, of our coordination system. So we are coming to the end of chapter 12, which is coordination. Okay, coordination of the body. All right, so let's get right down to it. All right, so let's look at, first of all, right, this is the endocrine system. I'm going to continue with and finishing off with chapter 12. Okay, endocrine system. So if you learned earlier, okay, remember our lesson earlier for chapter 12, we're all talking about our nervous system. Nervous system is one of those systems which help to coordinate, control and coordinate all the activities of our body, okay, all the organs and how they function. So we have the nervous system. So actually, coordination, let's go back to the definition of coordination. Coordination refers to the working together. So when you have coordination, you know what the other component is doing. Okay, when there is penyelarasan, in DM we call penyelarasan or coordination. Okay, like your right hand knows what the left hand is doing. Your left hand knows what your right hand is doing. Okay, so there's coordination. There is that working together of the different organs of the body, of an organism, in order to produce the appropriate, or we call the suitable response to a stimulus. So in this chapter, we have always started with our response, stimulus and response and so on, and then we introduce the nervous system, correct? So now this is another component of the coordination. So your nervous system and the endocrine system, these two help to coordinate your body, how they function, so that you can produce a suitable response. So coordination is conducted by two systems. You have already seen the nervous system. We have already gone through the nervous system, okay? The past 2 or 3 lessons, the past 2 lessons, I think. And then now we're going to go to another coordination system, which is endocrine system, okay? This endocrine system consists of different glands which produces a kind of secretion. This secretion is called hormone. It's a kind of liquid, it's a kind of chemical that goes into the blood, and then it is passed on to all parts of the body, or rather to the relevant organs, to produce the response. Okay, so remember, not only our nervous system produces response, our endocrine system also is part of the coordination system. So we have 2 coordination systems inside our body, and they work together. Okay, later on towards the end of the lesson, we're going to compare these 2 systems in terms of similarity and differences. Okay, let's go on. I don't think there's anyone here. If there is, you would like to let me know you're here, just type something on the comment. All right, to say hi, teacher. All right, good evening, and so on, or good afternoon. Okay, so both systems complement each other, so they help each other. All right, they will carry out, of course, they will have different methods of coordinating your body, but they work together. The ultimate aim is to coordinate and to regulate all the processes in your body. and also to maintain a constant environment, okay, internal environment, which we know this system, this process is called homeostasis. Okay, you have learned homeostasis in chapter 13. So this is actually, I'm coming back to chapter 12 lah, right? So for those who have learned chapter 13 and 14 and 15, all right, you will know what I'm talking about, right? This is a homeostasis. It's the process to maintain a consistent and a constant internal environment of the body. So your body, your cells will function as normal. Okay, let's go on, right? Let's look at endocrine system. What is the endocrine system? Okay, now endocrine system is made up of glands. Okay, glands are special cells, actually a group of cells inside certain parts of our body which secrete a certain chemical. This chemical has a special name which we call hormone. So hormone is actually a chemical, yeah, that is produced in certain special tissues in our body, and we call these places called glands. So glands produce, these endocrine glands produce hormones. Okay, so you see, these are examples on, this is an endocrine gland. You'll see that those group of cells here, okay, colored yellow here, these are the cells which produces this hormone, all right? And another type of gland actually is the exocrine. So we are talking about the endocrine gland. You will also see actually there's another group of cells called exocrine. Okay, now these exocrine glands, there's something different from the endocrine. Exocrine, there is a duct. You see a duct, D-U-C-K, yeah? I know, sorry, D-U-C-T, not D-U-C-K, yeah? A duct is like a tube. You see this here, tube? Whenever this gland has a tube or a special duct, right, we call this exocrine gland. They are not endocrine. Okay, an example, sweat gland. So the sweat is produced under the skin and it will be released on outside your body by the sweat duct, and then you will see, you know, the sweat comes out. So that sweat gland, because it has a duct here, is an exocrine gland. So for the endocrine glands, all of these glands do not have a duct. Okay, so if they do not have a duct, how are they going to release all these substances into the body? Okay, they don't have special tubes. So what they do is they will make use of the blood stream or the blood vessels. So this endocrine system are made up of glands which do not have ducts. So we call it ductless glands. Don't have the special tube there. All right. So these hormones are secreted or released directly into the bloodstream. It doesn't have a special tube that carries this hormone to specific places. They make use of the blood vessels. So this hormone is released directly into the bloodstream, and the blood will carry it everywhere to the body that is needed. Okay, so that is one important feature or characteristic of endocrine system that you need to remember. Okay, no ducts, and this hormone is released directly into the bloodstream. Okay, and how does it work? So when these hormones, they come to a specific cell, there are certain cells which will respond to the hormone, and there are also specific cells, certain cells that do not respond to the hormone. Okay, what are the cells that will respond? What are the cells that do not respond to the hormone? Depends on whether they have the receptor molecule or not on the surface of the cell. So you see, hormone will bind with specific molecule receptor on the target cells and produce specific response. So you can see here, let me write down here, this is a cell and this is a B cell. Okay, now A cell has receptor on the surface of the cell. So when a hormone comes, the hormone is that this diamond shaped kind of yellow this or purple color substance there, right? That symbol here, it symbolizes the receptor. So it has special receptors on the target cell. Because the target cell has the receptor, so this target cell will produce the response to the hormone. So when the hormone comes, right, the target cell will be stimulated to do something. Maybe somehow it will react, right? They will produce a certain response. So now you see, for this one, target cell A, it has receptor. Therefore, it will show response. So other cells which do not have the receptor will not show the response. So you can see that there are specialized target cells for specific hormones. Okay, so one hormone might be able to stimulate or to trigger response in more than one cell if that cell has the receptor. Okay, so it has to have the certain receptor. If it doesn't have receptor, this cell will not respond to the hormone. Means the hormone will not have any action, will not have any what they call effect on the cell. Okay, so you have specific cells that can produce response to the hormone. Not every cell will give you the same response. All right, so they have specific targeted cells. Okay, function of hormones. So what do hormones do? Why are hormones needed in our body? What are the processes in our body that requires hormones to help, okay, or to be carried out? So examples would be reproduction. Okay, sexual reproduction requires female hormones, also male hormones, and so on. Reproduction. Okay. Another aspect of our the workings of the body is this growth. So growth cells mean that the organism growing taller, okay, growing bigger in size. That is called growth. It is triggered by hormones. Okay, you can see that some students after, let's say, standard 6, when they go to form 1, or suddenly shoot so high, okay, become so tall because they have undergone puberty. So puberty is the time when a lot of these growth hormones, especially these sexual hormones are also produced. Okay, and next one, homeostasis. Hormones also play a role in coordinating certain processes in our body so that they remain consistent. The environment factor, the internal environment is consistent. Okay, let me give you some names of hormones that come under these 3 types of function. Okay, for reproduction, we have FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, you would have learned in chapter, you've seen about the chapter 15, reproduction. LH, luteinizing hormone. GnRH is gonadotropin releasing hormone. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. All these are the hormones that regulate, or they help, or they aid, or they will produce this effect for reproduction, for the function of reproduction. Okay, growth. Growth, we have GH, stands for growth hormone. So growth hormone will be particularly released more during the stages of puberty. So that's why after, during the 1 year and also that, you notice that some of the children, they really, their growth, they have the growth spurt. That means they suddenly, they achieve, it could be up to like 2-3 cm per year, all right? Instead of maybe even 5 cm per year, all right? Some people, usually that kind of growth you only see in babies. Okay, thyroxine also is to stimulate growth. Okay, homeostasis. These are the hormones which play a role in homeostasis. ADH is anti-diuretic hormone. Aldosterone, insulin, and glucagon. Okay, so I will go through these function of each one later. All right, one by one. So you need to know the grouping. What kind of hormone is used, or we call it the function in what kind of process, okay, for growth, for reproduction, and so on. Okay, clear, huh? Right, next one. Now let's see where are the glands. We said these endocrine glands. Where are they positioned? Where are they located in our body? Okay, the first one we have this, we need to remember a few examples. Hypothalamus is in the brain. Okay, this is very important endocrine system, endocrine gland, one of the endocrine glands. Then you also have below the hypothalamus is this pituitary gland. Okay, just below the hypothalamus. It's also in the brain. Very important. It's called the master gland because it secretes hormone which control the release of hormone from other endocrine glands. Okay, that means without this pituitary gland, the hormone from the pituitary gland, the other hormones will not be released from the other glands. So you call it the master gland. Okay, next, thyroid. Okay, thyroid is very near the trachea. Okay, this is the thyroid gland. Adrenal, this is the type of gland which is situated above our kidneys. It's just on top of the kidney, right? Pancreas, okay, pancreas you have seen in our digestive system earlier in chapter 9, okay, where it releases these enzymes also. Okay, enzymes which help in, they have the amylase, pancreatic amylase, they call it the trypsin, and also the lipase. So these are the three enzymes which come from pancreas. So in that case, pancreas is also an exocrine gland, because the glands that produce uh, enzymes, they are with duct. There are ducts there. So pancreas is an exocrine gland and also an endocrine gland, because pancreas also produces hormone. So pancreas, besides producing enzyme, they produce hormone. For enzymes, these glands are exocrine. Okay. For hormone, they are the endocrine. So pancreas is both an exocrine and also an endocrine gland. Okay, so there is something special about the pancreas. Okay, next, ovary. Right, ovary is found only in the female, and that is where the ovum is produced. Right, and that requires hormone to stimulate the production of ovum, and also the release of ovum, called ovulation. And for males, for boys or men, we have testes, which produces testosterone, the male hormone. We call it the male hormone. Okay, so these are the 7 names you need to remember. Okay, the 7 types of glands which are under the endocrine glands, and you need to know how to label. Okay, so your goal is to memorize how to label. You remember the names, and next thing, let's look at the function of each type of hormone. So not only one hormone comes from one gland. Sometimes one gland can give you more than one hormone, a few hormones. Okay, now let's look at the names of hormones. Okay, so you're going to see from here that one gland may have more than one hormone secreted. Okay, first one, hypothalamus. You just need to remember the G and RH. There could be others, which is not in our syllabus. We don't need to learn, but you need to know the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone is from the hypothalamus. This G and RH hormone will stimulate, the pituitary gland to produce FSH and LH hormone. So you will see under the pituitary gland there are 6 hormones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, there are 8, but here in the textbook they put in 7. So you just follow the textbook. We will just learn these 7. ADH, anti-diuretic hormone. Oxytocin. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. LH, luteinizing hormone. GH, growth hormone. ACTH is adrenocorticotropic hormone. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So this GnRH, all right, stimulates the pituitary gland to produce these 2. Okay, so even though we say pituitary gland is the master gland, because these hormones will also trigger the other glands to produce hormone. But the pituitary gland also has its own master. The master is the hypothalamus. Okay, thyroid gland. So thyroid gland produces thyroxine. This is easy to remember. Thyroid, thyroxine. Okay. Adrenal gland produces adrenaline. Okay, also easy to remember. Then you have another one called aldosterone. Okay, the function I'll show you later. I'll just give you the names first. Pancreas, there is insulin and glucagon, okay, which is going to trigger the conversion of the sugar from glucose into glycogen, and from glycogen back to glucose. Okay, ovary, you will have estrogen. Oh, sorry, terbalik. I'm sorry, this is not testosterone. So I will exchange this. There's a mistake here. So ovary is for estrogen, all right? Testes is for testosterone. Okay, I did a mistake here. Ovary, estrogen, progesterone. Now, there were some students who asked me, do you pronounce it, do you spell it with O or do you spell it with E? Okay, both are acceptable. Actually, because OE is a British spelling. Okay, but for American spelling, you don't have the O, they start spelling with the E, estrogen. Anyhow, whether O or E, you pronounce it the same way, which is called estrogen. Okay, so American spelling is with E, British spelling is with OE. Okay, testes, testosterone. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now, hypothalamus, let's start with the first one. Hypothalamus location first. Okay, it is found at this in the brain. All right, this one you've seen it earlier in when you talk about the chapter 12. Where is this hypothalamus? I've mentioned the position. So it produces or it secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is GnRH for short. Okay, so here, so once I circled there, that is the hypothalamus. Okay, what does hypothalamus do? So this, it produces the GnRH, and the function of GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, is to stimulate the pituitary gland, which is sits directly under it. The pituitary gland is stimulated to secrete two important hormones, which is FSH and LH. So basically, it just means that if you do not have the GnRH, the FSH and LH will not be secreted. That is as simple as that. You need the GnRH to stimulate the release of FSH and LH. Okay, right here. Okay, so here is the diagram of showing the pituitary gland. You will see that pituitary gland, there are two lobes. Okay, there are two lobes. There are actually two lobes there. So now we look at the pituitary gland. It's called the master gland, or the main, or we call it main gland of the entire endocrine system. The main is very important. Okay, the most important. Okay, why? Because it secretes hormones that control the secretion of other hormones from other endocrine glands. That means the other endocrine glands that you saw, the pancreas, the adrenal gland, the ovary, and what else? The testosterone, the testes. All these will not produce their hormone if it doesn't receive the signal from pituitary gland. So it needs this pituitary gland to produce its hormone, which will trigger the secretion of hormone from other endocrine glands. Okay, so you can see it's so important. It's why you call it master gland. Okay, now the pituitary gland has got two lobes. So you can see there's one facing nearer to the front side, okay, of the head. This is near anterior. We call it the anterior lobe. And then the other one nearer to the back. The back, we call it the posterior lobe. So there are two lobes here. Okay, so the next thing you need to know is what are the hormones that come from these two lobes of the pituitary gland. Okay, you need to remember the name and the function. Now, this is where the headache starts. A lot of students say they really hate this chapter because so many things to remember and so technical. All the names are so susah, cannot remember, don't know how to spell and so on. Okay, I just believe that it requires a little bit of effort. Just read a few more times. You read a few more times, you write down a few more times, or you practice spelling it, writing it, you will get it. Okay, if you want to berjaya, if you want to score excellently, you have to put in the effort to remember. Okay, because you can't run away. Biology is a lot of facts, right? Okay. Now, so pituitary gland, so you can see here the anterior lobe is on your left, the posterior lobe is on your right. Okay, so look here. Let's start with the posterior first. Okay, why I start with the posterior? Because it's easier to remember. Posterior gland only got two. Okay, only got two hormones that you need to remember. Okay, first of all, antidiuretic hormone. We call it ADH. Antidiuretic hormone. So the A is for the anti, the D is for the diuretic, and I forgot to write the hormone here. Okay. Okay, so this is antidiuretic hormone. Okay, sorry, my handwriting is a little bit out. Okay, so you just imagine there's a hormone there. So it stimulates. So when the ADH is released into the blood, this ADH actually acts on where? What is the target organ? It is actually the kidney. You have a lot of all these renal tubules that will produce the urine. So when this ADH is released into the blood, when there's a lot of ADH, okay, it will stimulate the reabsorption of water. So a lot of water will be reabsorbed back into the blood, and that makes your urine less volume. That means less urine. You will get less urine because your water is reabsorbed back. And also as a result of that, your urine will be more concentrated, the volume will be less, and probably the color will be a little bit more darker, okay, maybe a little bit like yellowish color, because there's a lot of maybe the concentration of this waste is a lot, okay, the minerals is a lot, the salt. So less water, but more concentration of salt there. So it stimulates the absorption of water. Okay, next one, another one. So you just remember the two first. Just remember two from the posterior. The rest will be anterior. Anterior, there are 6 actually. Okay, so let's look at the second one. It's called oxytocin. Okay, what is oxytocin? This is the type of hormone which will stimulate the contraction of the uterine muscles. These are the muscles on the wall of the uterus. Uterus, you know, the one that carries the baby inside there, right? The baby is developed in the uterus. So this is particularly important during childbirth, okay, when the baby needs to be pushed out. So the oxytocin will be released in high amounts when the mother sakit bersalin, when she's in labor. So that would trigger the uterine muscles to contract rapidly to be able to push the baby out. Okay, so the baby is born. Another function of oxytocin is it stimulates production of milk from the mammary gland, from the breast. Okay, the breast tissues there are mammary glands which produces milk. So this oxytocin will stimulate the milk to be released from the mammary gland. Okay, so these two, A and O. Remember, A and O is for the posterior. Okay, now the rest will be for the anterior. Okay, let's look at anterior. So first one, let's look at growth hormone. Okay, this is easy to remember. Growth, because you know the function. It will make the person grow taller. So it actually stimulates the elongation of bones. Okay, so the bone become longer. So when the bone becomes longer, the person grows taller. This is quite obvious during the puberty stage. Okay, when children, they undergo puberty, a lot of growth hormone will be produced at higher quantities during this time. Protein synthesis, production of making new cells. All right, you need protein. Then fat metabolism to break down the fat and so on. So you see, when people grow up, they lose their baby fat because a lot of the fat is being metabolized. That means broken down, oxidized, and so on. Okay, growth hormone. Okay, next. So when children they go to puberty, they say they lost all the baby fat. Suddenly, before primary school, they say, oh, very chubby, right? When they go to secondary school, oh, everybody's elongated. Okay, no more chubby, very tall, slim, and so on. Because a lot of fat is being metabolized. Okay, next. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. This is the hormone which will be released from pituitary gland. It will enter the bloodstream, and the target cells are the cells in the ovary. So when the cells in the ovary, we call these follicle cells, receive FSH, the follicles will develop. So the follicle will become bigger. Okay, so if you learn the chapter 15, you'll notice that during the day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and all that, after the 5th day of the menstruation stops, you find the follicle will start to grow. Okay, follicles start to become bigger and bigger and bigger under the influence of FSH. Okay, at the same time, you see for males, so that was for female. Males also have FSH. So FSH will stimulate spermatogenesis. That means production of male gametes. That means making sperms. So production of sperm requires stimulation from FSH. Okay, so FSH also in males, not just female. Okay, next. Next one is LH. Okay, so when you talk about FSH, don't forget about LH. LH is called luteinizing hormone. If you remember your chapter 15, this is the hormone which will be released in high amounts during day 13 or 14. Okay, when the LH reaches its peak, when there's a lot of LH being produced on the 14th day or 13th day, this will trigger or stimulate ovulation. So the ovum will be released from the ovary on day 14. Okay, after that, this LH will also stimulate the graphene follicle. Okay, after it releases the hormone, it releases the ovum. This follicle is called graphene follicle. It will develop to become what we call this corpus luteum. Okay, and the corpus luteum actually produces estrogen and progesterone, and it will last for the next 1 week or so after the ovulation. Okay, so secretion of estrogen and progesterone. All right, next, what is the next one? Thyroid stimulating hormone. So here another hormone which is called thyroid stimulating hormone. It will stimulate the thyroid gland to secrete thyroxine. Okay, so thyroxine, after we see what is the function of thyroxine. Right? Thyroid is found at the trachea here, at the base of the trachea, at the throat here. All right. Okay, next one is ACTH, which is adrenal corticotropic hormone. So it's a little bit difficult here in the sense that you have so many words, so you cancel it out. Easier for you to remember. Adrenal is an A, cortico is a C, tropic is a T. So A, C, T, H. Okay, now this stimulates the adrenal gland to produce its hormone. The adrenal gland, actually inside there are two hormones. So you have, after I show you, right, what are the hormones. So without this stimulation from pituitary gland, without this ACTH, the adrenal gland will not produce the hormone. Okay, so you can see how important your pituitary gland is. Okay, clear, right? Okay, Glenn? Just now I've left out one. LH also stimulates the secretion of testosterone from the testes. Okay, let me continue. Next one. I think there are not many people here. Right. Now, how to remember? So I give you a clue how to remember. For the posterior pituitary gland, remember A and O. Just remember A and O. Okay. And for the anterior pituitary gland, you remember G flat. For those who play piano, you know, G flat is actually uh, F sharp, G flat Okay, you know your keys your black keys Okay, so you have G, you have F, you have L, you have A, and a T. Okay, G for growth, F is FSH, L for LH, T for thyroid. Okay, thyroid stimulating hormone. A for adrenal corticotropic hormone. Okay, so now you might think, teacher, so difficult. Your A and your A got two A here, Is it how to remember which is which? Okay, so remember this one. You have an AO, this is your posterior. G flat is for your anterior. So just put one word in between there. The D here to remember is ADH for the posterior, and the other one is AC. Okay, adrenal corticotropic hormone. So and ADH is for the posterior. Your ACTH, the other A, is for the anterior. Okay, there. I think it's be confusing for you. So you take the time to go over it again. Okay? Sorry. Let's go on. Now, let's look at we've just done the pituitary gland. We go to the next one, which is a thyroid gland. So here, what you see here is a thyroid gland. See this mass of tissues here? This is a thyroid gland. And this is a trachea. This is the thyroid gland. This is the trachea. The trachea, which is the air passage that carries air into your lungs, okay, during inhalation and also expels air during exhalation. And then there is a cartilage here, soft bone actually. We call it the thyroid cartilage, okay, not important. What is the function of thyroid gland? It secretes thyroxine. What is the function of thyroxine? It increases metabolism rate. So when you have a lot of thyroxine, your metabolic rate will increase. The rate of burning, oxidizing your glucose. Okay, so people who have very high thyroxine in the blood, they will always probably feel hungry, all right, because whatever they eat, their food will be what you call broken down very quickly, all right, their whatever storage of food will always be metabolized, so they will always need energy. So they're probably very thin. They don't have a lot of storage of fat in their body, high metabolic rate. Okay, it will increase body temperature. Okay, when your metabolic rate is high, it produces heat. Metabolic rate is high. When the metabolic rate is high, it produces heat. So it will increase the body temperature. Okay, it also regulates growth and development. So during puberty, all right, thyroxine also will be produced at a higher rate compared to before puberty. Okay, it regulates growth and development. Okay, this is all you need to know. All right, next one, adrenal gland. All right. Okay, Surya, thanks. Understood, teacher. All right, good. Okay, adrenal gland. So you see, adrenal gland sits on top of the whopping-down. In the end, it's whopping-down. All right. So you have two, right? One on the left, one on the right, because you got two kidneys. So there are two hormones which are secreted. One is called adrenaline. Okay, adrenaline is the hormone which increases your heart rate. Now, this is the one you will produce a lot when you feel very chemas, when you feel very excited, when you are suddenly very fearful, right? You have emergency situation, when you're being scared, when you're being, you're being triggered, or what they call, you're being something makes you scared and all that. It's like a fight or flight response. Okay, I need to charge my phone. Sorry, my computer just a minute. Okay, so this is adrenal. All right, I'm going to give you the example later. Adrenaline is actually released from the inside, so we call it adrenal medulla. The adrenal gland has got two layers. Okay, two layers. The outside one is called cortex. The inside one is medulla. If you remember, it's very good. If you don't remember, not very important. You just say adrenaline is produced from adrenal gland. Okay, you don't have to be very specific lah, whether medulla or whether it's cortex. So if you want to remember, very good. All right, you remember adrenaline is produced from the adrenal medulla, the inner one. Function: increases the level of sugar and fatty acids in the blood. So when your adrenaline is being released, right, your sugar level will be higher because your glycogen is converted into glucose. And this is when you're needed for your emergency situation. You need to run faster, and then your heart beating faster, everything. This is where you have this response. Fatty acid also will be burned. All right, releasing the fatty acid will be released. Will be at a higher level. Next one, it increases your respiratory rate, so you breathe faster. When you're very kanjiong, you say kanjiong. Kanjiong Cantonese means very excited, cemas, and your heartbeat will beat faster. Okay. It will increase the rate of metabolism. So your rate of burning, of producing heat is also higher. So that is adrenaline. Now there's another hormone from the adrenal gland also. This is called the aldosterone. Aldosterone, you see I color coded. Adrenaline, I put red color. It comes from medulla. Aldosterone comes from cortex. It's the outside layer of the tissue there. Okay, if you can remember, good. If you cannot remember, never mind. You say aldosterone has a different function. Nothing to do with the cemas one. Aldosterone is when it's released into the blood, right? It will trigger, or it will stimulate. Actually, it goes to the kidney. It will stimulate reabsorption of salt in the kidney. That means if you do not have enough kidney, you don't have enough salt, all right? Your aldosterone will release more to absorb back the salt into your blood. So you will be releasing less salt in the urine. This is to increase the reabsorption. Remember to use the word re, just like when you say reabsorption of water for ADH. You must use the word reabsorption, not absorption. It's wrong. Okay, we will mark it wrong. So you say reabsorption of salt in the kidneys. This is for aldosterone. Okay, all right, Ken, let's carry on. Today's lesson a little bit panjang. Okay, pancreas. Now, pancreas lies behind the stomach. So you can see the stomach over there. So it's actually behind the stomach. Like I mentioned, this one, pancreas, is one of the very, very rare, we call it organs that happen to be both endocrine and exocrine gland. Okay, they have cells which produce enzymes. There are also cells which produce hormone. Okay, they talk about endocrine because our focus is endocrine. So one of the hormones that are produced is insulin. Okay, I'm sure you learned it before in your chapter on the chapter 9. When you talk about people who have less production of insulin, they will get this diabetes mellitus. We call it penyakit kencing manis, because there'll be a lot of sugar in the blood which cannot be stored. So insulin is to convert excess glucose. Okay, glucose that you get from after you break down your starch, after you eat a full meal, you have a lot of blood, a lot of glucose rushing through your vein, rushing through your blood vessels. So you cannot have too much of that. So your insulin will be released to convert the excess glucose to glycogen. So this happens when you had a full meal after you makan kenyang-kenyang, right? So it's to store back the glycogen. You don't want to release so much into the blood. Okay. Next, it will reduce the blood sugar level. When you have a lot of insulin, that means it will bring down your blood sugar level. It will be converted into glycogen and stored. There won't be so much sugar in your blood. Okay. Now the other one, besides the insulin, is the opposite hormone, which is glucagon. Glucagon has the opposite effect. The function here is to convert back the glycogen, which you stored earlier, back to glucose. This happens when you need your sugar, when you have not been eating for many hours, especially like when you berpuasa. Okay, you puasa, you bersahur early in the morning around 5 something, you had your last meal of the day. Then the entire how many hours? 5, more than 12 hours, up to what? Up to 14, up to you berbuka puasa around 7 something, right? More than 12 hours, 14 hours, you will not be eating anything. So at that time, how is your body, how your cells going to get the fuel to run your body, your activities? So they are going to make use of the glycogen, right? Glycogen will be broken down to get glucose, so your body can still function until the time you berbuka puasa when you get your next meal. Okay, so this is why you need your storage of glycogen. And it is only when you do not eat, right? When you do not eat for many hours, your glycogen will be converted back to glucose to fuel your cells. Fuel, F-U-E-L, fuel. Okay, make your cells have the food or the fuel. Really increases the blood sugar level. When you have a lot of glucagon, your glycogen will be converted back into glucose. So your glucose level will rise. Okay, right. This is you've learned it before. All right. Let's just revision. Okay, next one, testes. This is for male, all right, in the male body. Okay, this is the testes, magnified. So testes secretes testosterone. So testes, testosterone, easy. The name is almost the same, all right. The first word is there. Function, all right. Testosterone is to stimulate the development of secondary sexual characteristics in male. Okay, what are secondary sexual characteristics? These are the characteristics which are not directly related to production of sperm. These are the characteristics that you see in males. For example, growth of hair on the chest, on the face. You get the misai and your janggut there, your beard and the mustache. The growth of hair on the armpits, right, and also in the pubic region. So all these are the secondary sexual characteristics. Another one is the muscles. And you see the guys' muscles are a bit firmer than the females, right? So badan dia sasa, okay, means it's firm. The muscles become firm, right? Not so, like girls, and not so, unless you, of course, you work out right? So, and also there will be like the change of the voice. The voice of the guys become deeper. That is also a secondary sexual characteristic. Okay, all that is related to the puberty when a boy becomes a man, right? These are the changes, not directly related to the sperm production. Okay. So stimulates testosterone will stimulate spermatogenesis. That means formation of sperms. Okay, making sperms require testosterone also. Okay, so this is the sperm anatomy and you don't forget there will be a lot of mitochondria in the mid piece of the sperm to produce energy for swimming, for the sperm to swim. Okay, next one, ovary. Come to the next one, last one of the endocrine glands. Ovary only for the female. So if you magnify, you slice through the ovary, you will see all these. All these are the follicles actually. You will see all this, right? These are the follicles as they progress. Okay, day by day, they become bigger and bigger and bigger, and the ovum becomes mature. It will be released on day 14. So this one is called the grafting follicle. After it ruptures, it will become what we call this corpus luteum. It is the function of the luteinizing hormone to develop this corpus luteum. Okay, so secretes estrogen. Okay, one of it is estrogen first. Let's look at estrogen. The function is to stimulate the development of secondary sexual characteristics in female. Okay, the example is not like, of course, girls, we don't have our voice become deeper, but we do have other secondary sexual characteristics like our hips will become wider, all right? The pelvic bone will become wider, and then There will be, of course, breast development. All these are secondary sexual characteristics. Okay. Then repairs and stimulates. With the estrogen there, it actually makes this thickening of the uterine lining, the blood vessels there. So it'll be highly vascularized. That means a lot of blood vessels there. Getting ready for implantation of the zygote if it gets fertilized. I mean, if the ovum gets fertilized. So it's the thickening of the uterine lining. This uterine lining is known as endometrium. It's another name of the uterine lining. Okay, so that is the function of estrogen. It is to produce the thickening. Okay, blood vessels will become a lot, right? The network of blood vessels will be there. Okay, the other hormone is progesterone. Now, progesterone is mainly produced after the ovulation, which is after day 14. Okay, usually around day number 21, the progesterone will reach the highest. Function of progesterone is to maintain. Just like estrogen is to stimulate the thickening, but progesterone has a slight difference. You see, the progesterone is for maintaining the thickening. So when you see the word maintaining the lining there, it is probably progesterone. And more correct to say progesterone. For estrogen is to form, stimulate the thickening, but progesterone is to maintain the thickening. Okay, see the keywords. Okay, next one. Now let's go to this particular scenario. Okay, I'm sure you've seen this happening many times, right? Maybe it happened to you before, or you've seen in cartoons, you may see on movies and so on. Okay, so this boy is being chased by the dog, right? So the dog's very angry. The dog wants to bite the leg off of the boy. So the boy is scared, right? Because it could be a mad dog with rabies and so on. So first of all, he may consider first. If it's a small dog, maybe I'll stand there and I'll just fight off the dog. Okay, shall I fight the dog? But you have to make a decision. Okay, when you're in danger, usually when you're in danger, you have to make a quick decision. Either I want to stay on and face the danger, or I will flee. Flee means I will go away, I will run. So this boy decided that he probably cannot fight the dog. So I think I better run. Okay, so this situation whereby you have to decide split second when you're in certain kind of dangerous situation, okay, to decide whether I need to I'll stand there and I will fight off the situation, or I will try to defend myself, or I will have to run. This situation is called a fight or flight. In fact, flight or fight, either way. Fight or flight. It can be either way, okay? Either I'm going to sit there, I'm going to stay there and fight you, or I'm going to flight. Fight means to go away, fly. Okay, that means I cabut. All right, in the end, cabut. Now, what besides the boy running out, how else do you think the body will respond? Okay, you imagine you are the boy. Okay, of course, you can feel very scared, right? You may break out in cold sweat. All right, there are a lot of things happening to you at the same time. So these are the very common things that you notice that will happen. Your heart will beat faster, right? Your breathing becomes faster because you're very kanjiong, right? You're very scared. Your blood pressure will increase, okay? Your blood pressure will suddenly spike off. And then you feel alert. You don't suddenly feel like you want to sleep. And then you break out in sweat. Suddenly you below, right? So these are the responses that will happen because of an important hormone that is released, which we call as adrenaline. This usually hormones have a slow response. Usually, okay, the response takes a long time. But this is an what they call exception. Adrenaline is the only hormone which will act and give you a instantaneous kind of response, where you will the response will be your heart suddenly will beat very fast. Then your breathing will become very deep and also very fast. Okay, so what happens during a fight or flight response, or rather flight or fight? Okay, either way. So what happens? You have to mention. This is a popular question. Okay, in SPM, it's a popular question for your essay. So they give you a scenario: a boy being chased by a dog or something, or some other scenario, which is frightening. Anything that's frightening, all right. Explain. Ask you to explain. What are your responses? How does your nervous system and the endocrine system work together to produce this response? So you need to talk about nervous system because they both are involved. Nervous system is the first line. I perceive the image. So you see the danger, all right? The light enters your eye. The retina, they are photoreceptor cells. The image is produced, and then your optic nerve will send the message to the brain. This is nervous system. And now your brain processes the information, and your brain recognizes this is an emergency situation. This is danger. Okay, your brain will interpret the message. This is nervous system. Okay, but then your brain will send message to your adrenal medulla because it wants to produce that special hormone to energize your body, because you need to run quick. You need to be alert. You need to, either you want to fight the dog or you want to run away. You need to energize your body, right? So the hypothalamus will transmit impulse to the adrenal medulla. Okay, so this is through endocrine system, right, to the adrenal medulla to produce adrenaline. So you have to mention adrenal medulla is stimulated to secrete adrenaline and noradrenaline. You can say either one. Usually people will write adrenaline. Okay, so now just now you see the nervous system in play. Right now you will see the endocrine system also works. So this is like a coordination. When this situation arises, you find both systems will work together to give you that response so you can run faster, right? So what happens when your adrenaline is secreted? What is the effect of this hormone to your body? What is your body going to respond? Okay, number one, your heart suddenly beats faster. Just like I mentioned, adrenaline is one of those hormones which gives you, most of them hormones will have a long, prolonged effect, slow effect. But this is one of those that have the fast one. Okay, this is the one of the exception now, right? So it gives you instantly you will find your heart beat faster. Okay, this is when you get excited, right? Then your respiratory rate will also increase. You will be faster also because you need to supply more oxygen to, and also the blood will supply more glucose to your body cells. Increase the blood pressure. Your blood pressure will increase because your heart is pumping faster. Okay. Increase the blood sugar level, blood glucose level, because your insulin, your glucagon will be released to convert glycogen into glucose. Your glucose level will rise, okay, because you need this extra sugar to be used as the fuel for your muscles to contract. Okay, and also it increases your metabolic rate. Okay, your heat will be generated more, right? All the processes in your body breaking down of all these substances and so on, okay, to generate energy. All right. Okay. Besides that, not finished yet, because this kind of question can be a full question, can go up to 10 marks. So a lot of things you can talk about. Okay. So more glycogen is converted to glucose. Remember this one about the glucagon, right? So important for you to say more. Okay. Sometimes the marking scheme, sometimes they are very particular. They may want the word more. So say more glycogen is converted to glucose. Okay, more oxygen and glucose. So both are not just oxygen only. Oxygen is pumped to the skeletal muscles through the blood. Okay, at the same time, through the blood also carries glucose. So remember, don't just say oxygen, say oxygen and glucose. More, you need both. You need both to be supplied to your cells, your muscle cells. Okay, then your heart will beat faster. All right, next one. Rate of cellular respiration increases. So you can write all these points. You get all these points, wow, your marker will be very impressed. Very impressed. Wow, this student really knows what you're talking about. Okay, to produce more energy, more ATP. All right. So if you're in doubt, please write ATP lah. It's better to be more detailed and more specific. Write ATP. Right? Sometimes they may require to write ATP. They may reject energy, but they may want ATP. So please write ATP. If you're not sure, write both. Okay. Skeletal contractions are faster. All right. Because your muscles get more oxygen, get more glucose, can produce more ATP, so your contraction can be faster, so that you can run faster. Right. So your muscles become tense. Sometimes you may even tremble. Right. Pupils dilate. Your pupils. Right. The part of your eye where it light goes in. More light enters the eye, so you can see better. All right. So that you can see the danger better. All right. You can see better. More blood flows to the muscle and the brain because of vasodilation. The diameter of your blood vessels will increase, okay, because you need to make the blood flow more. Blood will flow more to the muscles and brains, right? Vasodilation. Okay, and also less blood. On the other parts, you do not need so much blood on the other parts, digestive organs, all right? You don't need the blood to the digestive organ, so they'll be diverted. Less blood will flow to the digestive organs and also non-essential parts of the body, but it will flow more to your muscle cells and also to your brain at this moment. Things that need more blood will be your muscles and your brain, not your digestive system. So the blood system will be more or less diverted from the non-essential parts of the body. They will go to the essential parts. Essential parts are your muscles, because you need to run. Okay, right. So, and your bowel movement, okay, that's why because of the digestive system, they will slow down because it's not essential at this moment. It's not important for you. Okay, and of course, right, both the nervous system and the endocrine system. So you can see, you must talk about both. They work together. In this situation, the fight or flight response, actually, they're both of them working together to produce immediate response to handle life-threatening situation. All right, okay. So, similarities and response. So this one I took straight from the textbook, right? So remember, compare and contrast. Always talk about similarities and the response. To get similarities and the differences. Don't forget, not just write the differences. Okay, both these two systems have target tissues or target cells or target organs. Both will produce a response to the stimulus. There must be stimulus first before there's a response. And both will act to function to regulate all the activities of the body, and they work together actually. What about the differences? For nervous system, they consist of millions of neurons. So you got to say what is it made of. For the endocrine system, consists of ductless. Okay, if you're in doubt, always try to write to be more specific. Use the word ductless, no duct. Endocrine system, no duct. So write the word ductless. Okay, what kind of signal is it? For nervous system, the signal is released in the form of electrical impulses for nervous system. They run through the axon and so on. For endocrine system, it's a hormone, which is a chemical substance. So they are hormones. Okay, hormones which are chemical substances. Next one, comparing the response, whether quick or slow. For nervous system, is immediate. You get immediate response. Example, you touch something hot, immediately your hand will be withdrawn. Then for the endocrine system, most of them are slow and prolonged, with the exception of adrenaline. Adrenaline, that one is fast. Okay, next one, you have this one, effect. The effect, the duration. The duration means the effect is short. The time frame, right? This one just immediately finish. That it doesn't drag. For the endocrine system, the effect can be long lasting. It can last for even days. Okay, not immediately finish. The effect is long lasting. Lastly, the nervous system, when the impulse is sent to a particular organ, it's only that organ that has response. Other organs do not receive the impulse, will not have a response. So it's very particular. One impulse will go to one organ only, and only that organ will respond. For endocrine system, it can be one hormone, but the hormone can have effect to more than one tissue or cell. So it is more widespread. The effect of the hormones may have more than one organ will give you the response, not just one. It can be more than one. Okay, clear? Right. So lastly, I'll go to the issues. Okay, issues that are related to human endocrine system. What are the problems that are related to this? Okay, first of all, look at these special people. Okay, you will have what's so important, what is so different about these two. One is so very tall. He is probably the tallest person alive now. Of course, there were other people, okay, who was Robert Wadlow, but he passed away in 1940 something, right? He was the tallest. He was even taller than him. So this is Sultan Kosen. He is 8 feet and 9 inches. He's from Turkey. He's still alive. This is the current one. And then this is the shortest person alive. This is Chandra Bahadur Dangi. He's only 21 and a half inches. He's from Nepal. Okay, so you can see the they don't look very normal in terms of height. Because a normal person, if you were to compare and put a normal person beside, this is the average height of a normal adult. Roughly, it does not even reach up to the shoulder of certain percent. Okay. So what happened to these people? How do they grow to be so tall? And how does Chandra Bahadur Dangi become so short? Okay, so there must be something happening there which is not normal. It has to do with the hormone. Okay, the hormone. So this is hormonal imbalance because either too much of certain hormone or too little of certain hormone will give you these problems. Okay, let's look at some hormone problems in imbalance. We look at 4 hormones. First one is insulin. If you have too much insulin, we call it over-secretion. Too much insulin, right? What you get is low blood sugar level because the insulin will convert the sugar, the glucose, into glycogen to be stored. There'll be less sugar in the blood. Okay, you have low blood sugar level. So with low sugar blood level, we call it hypoglycaemia. Glycemia refers to the sugar. Hypo means under, less sugar in the blood. Okay, so you have what kind of symptoms? After I'll show you. On the other hand, if you have under secretion, if not enough insulin, you have the opposite case. If not enough insulin, that means there'll be too much sugar in the blood that cannot be converted, cannot be stored. Too much sugar. You have high blood sugar level. So this is known as actually hyperglycemia also can, or what you get penyakit kencing manis, people say. All right, you have diabetes mellitus. So be careful to write the complete name, not just diabetes, because diabetes, there are 2 types of diabetes. One is mellitus, the other one is insipidus. Insipidus is totally different, nothing to do with sugar level. Okay, so make sure it's diabetes mellitus. Okay, next. What are the symptoms? If hypoglycemia, too high, too much of sugar, too low sugar. So you will get headache, faint easily, insomnia, cannot sleep, fear, fatigue, very tired, disorderly thoughts, okay, meracau, all this very, very confused, emotionally unstable. That can happen in hypoglycemic people. Okay, people who are hypoglycemic. What about when there's too much of sugar in the blood? You will get penyakit kencing manis, which is diabetes mellitus. So what is the symptom? Okay, you will have frequent urination, frequent thirst, you drink a lot of water, right? You need to drink, you feel always thirsty. Your wound will heal slowly. This is one of the problems that diabetic patients will encounter. Their wounds difficult to heal. Then numbness at the sole of the feet, fatigue, also may have problems with the retinal lining there. You may not be able to see so well. Blurred vision. Okay. In serious cases, it may even help to contribute to blindness for diabetic patients. Okay, next hormone, ADH, anti-diuretic hormone. What happens when you have too much of anti-diuretic hormone? First of all, you must remember the function of ADH. ADH is to trigger or to stimulate reabsorption of water. So when you have too much of ADH, a lot of water is taken back. Okay, so that means you will not be able to release a lot of water out from your body. So you have high retention of water. Then you can see certain parts of your body may become bengkak. Okay, will get bloated. So you have edema. This is called edema. Pronounced with E, you don't, even though you spell with O, but you don't pronounce it edema. You pronounce it edema. Okay, what about if you have under secretion, too little ADH? When there's too little ADH, you know ADH is to reabsorb water. So you don't have enough ADH, not much water will be reabsorbed. So you end up releasing a lot of water in your urine. So you will always have a lot of urine. Okay, you will produce a large amount of urine because you don't really take back so much water. So you will have diabetes insipidus. This is the one that is called diabetes insipidus, not mellitus. This is not penyakit kencing manis. This one, diabetes insipidus, is the person will always release a lot of urine, always need to go to the toilet. And also at the same time, one of the characteristics is always feel thirsty. Need to drink a lot of water. Frequently feel thirsty. Frequent thirst. Okay, right, next one. Thyroxine. Okay, if they have too much or too little of thyroxine. Okay, let's look at the first one. Over secretion, too much thyroxine. So thyroxine, too much, you have enlarged, hyperactive, your thyroid glands are hyperactive, you have enlarged thyroid glands. All right, you have hyperthyroidism, so it may bengkak. All right, then you have too little under secretion, you will have things like all these lah, right? You will get hypothyroidism. Hypo means under, less thyroxine. Okay, you will have, you see this person, you will have bengkak around the base on this one, we call it bengkak di bawah mata, at the eyes here, below the eyes here, puffy face, dry skin. Puffy means a bit bengkak like that. Okay, I'll show you more of the symptoms. Okay, thyroxine imbalance, hyper. Person may get goiter. Goiter, you see this part of the here bengkak, right? Bengkak means swollen. The thyroid gland is swollen. Goiter. Heat intolerance, excessive sweating, nervousness. The person very nervous. Sometimes the eyes also bulging out. We call it actually Graves' disease. The eyes bulging out. And if people are very mangzang, very irritated, very irritating. The person is very irritated. Always very short fuse, get angry easily. Okay. Weight loss, very thin, rapid heartbeat very fast, so on. Okay, next. Symptom of hypothyroidism. Now, just now very similar to the picture I showed you. Puffiness, edema under the eyes, okay, puffiness on the face, thinning hair, slow heartbeat, gains weight easily, a bit on the fat side. Goiter also may happen. So you can see goiter can happen because of excessive thyroxine or also under secretion. Both also can cause goiter. Okay, tiredness, high sensitivity to cold. Okay, one more. Last one. GH imbalance. Okay, growth hormone. So what happens if you have over secretion of growth hormone? So you need to know that growth will make you grow taller, right? So when you have too much of hormone, growth hormone, of course the person will grow very tall. Abnormal elongation of bones. The bones are long. Okay, the person becomes very tall. Okay, see this person, extreme. Just now the person that you saw, Sultan Hossein, he probably had growth hormone imbalance, over secretion of the pituitary gland. Okay, gigantism. We call it gigantism. The person becomes giant. Gigantism, and also acromegaly, where the face, the jawbone here becomes bigger, wider. The hand also very big for acromegaly. Okay, what about under secretion? Too little growth hormone. That means the person will not grow very tall, less than normal height. So you may have short stature, okay, person with short body size like a child, all right, short limbs. This is called dwarfism. Dwarfism, all right. Some of it is genetic, some of it is probably of this growth hormone imbalance. Okay, symptoms: gigantism. Now, grows to be abnormally tall. Sometimes you will see the face, very thick facial bones, big face, hands and feet. So this is for acromegaly. Okay, you can see some people, some wrestlers, right? They are very big size, probably gigantism. Growth hormone decrease the secretion, you get dwarfism. What are the symptoms? You can see all this. They are very short stature, short arms, fingers and legs. Sometimes the organs also may fail to develop. Really. Okay, so dwarfism. All right, okay. So this is what I want to present to you today. I finished with chapter 12. I hope that those who requested for chapter 12 have benefited from my lessons from the past week. Okay, so for the rest of you can share to the other friends. I know most of the phone calls are not up to here now. Hopefully you can watch it later when you need it. Okay, all right. So thank you very much. I'll be taking a break for probably about 2 weeks. Then I'll come back with the beginning of chapter 4, from 4. Okay, to guide you to understand the Form 4 lessons. All right, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye everyone, and thank you for watching. Okay, thank you, Surya. Bye-bye. See you.